Captain Alex Morno stepped off the shuttle onto the smooth, glowing surface of Zithra's main plaza. He blinked, shielding his eyes from the soft, golden light that shimmered like it had a life of its own. The plaza stretched far in all directions, its polished stones reflecting the towering spires of the alien city. The buildings were strange and elegant, with twisting curves and floating bridges, as if the architecture itself defied gravity. Every corner of the plaza seemed alive with light, movement, and sound. Alex's job was simple in theory: negotiate a trade agreement between Earth and Zithra. In practice, it was anything but simple. He had studied the Zithran culture for months. Every gesture, every tone of voice, every color had meaning. And yet, as he stepped forward, he already sensed that he was walking into something far more complicated than a mere treaty. A figure appeared before him, gliding across the plaza with a serene grace that immediately demanded respect. She was tall, taller than most humans, with skin that seemed to shimmer like liquid silver. Her eyes were large and luminous, shifting in color with her emotions, and her movements carried an elegance that seemed ritualized, almost sacred. Alex recognized her from the briefings: Priestess Lishara, one of the most respected leaders of Zithra. Alex straightened his posture, trying to look confident while suppressing the nervous flutter in his stomach. He remembered the protocol: bow slightly, extend a token of respect, speak softly. Simple enough, right? He dipped into a careful bow and held out a small, crystal orb, a gift representing human goodwill and the desire for cooperation. Lishara paused. Her large eyes widened slightly, and she inclined her head, taking a step closer. The advisors and attendants behind her shifted quietly, whispering among themselves. Alex cleared his throat. "Greetings, Priestess Lishara. I am Captain Alex Morno, representing Earth. It is an honor to meet you and your people." Her attendants looked on with reverent awe. Alex smiled nervously. "I bring this as a token of friendship. We hope to establish mutual trust and cooperation between our worlds." "She says she accepts your offering," the interpreter said, his voice trembling. "But she believes you have made a commitment." "I didn't." She spoke again, and the interpreter translated. "It is not a mistake. The ritual has begun. The offering signifies intent. You must follow the customs." A refusal now could insult the priestess and the entire court, possibly collapsing negotiations before they even began. He sighed and nodded reluctantly. "Okay, I'll follow along, but please understand this is only to avoid offense. I am not actually proposing anything. For now, act accordingly." Lishara's attendants began chanting in harmony, a soft, resonant sound that filled the plaza. The words were alien, but the rhythm had a hypnotic quality. Alex held the orb out toward Lishara again, and she mirrored him, touching it lightly with her hands. Light pulsed from the orb, casting shifting patterns on their faces. Alex tried to recall the details of the ritual from his briefing, but much of it had been vague. He did his best, bowing, touching the orb, and offering words of goodwill in measured tones. Every step was calculated, yet his heart raced. If he misstepped now, it could be catastrophic. Despite the tension, Alex noticed something remarkable. Lishara's eyes weren't hostile or suspicious. They were curious, almost fascinated. She seemed to study his every move, measuring his reactions, noting the way he carried himself. And for some reason, he felt that she respected him. Humans often underestimated the power of curiosity and courage, but here it was. His ability to adapt, to remain calm under pressure, was earning her attention. As the ceremony continued, Alex tried to find a way to signal the misunderstanding without offending her. He made small gestures of humor, a subtle bow, a slight playful tilt of his head. Lishara's lips curved ever so slightly, almost a smile. That small gesture gave him hope. Maybe humans could navigate this chaos with intelligence, empathy, and a little charm. The crowd of Zitharans, once tense and whispering, seemed to relax slightly as Alex moved through the ritual with grace. He spoke words of respect and friendship, simple phrases the interpreter could render into Zitharan. The combination of sincerity and courage appeared to impress the court. Still, the misunderstanding hung over him like a cloud. He could feel it in the stares of the attendants, the intensity of Lishara's gaze, and the subtle shifts in the plaza's light. He knew the longer he stayed, the more entangled he would become in this ritual. Yet there was no turning back. Humans thrived in challenges, especially those requiring creativity and quick thinking. If he played his cards right, he could turn even this bizarre situation to their advantage. Suddenly, one of Lishara's advisors approached, carrying a thin scroll illuminated with floating symbols. The advisor spoke to Lashara, then turned to Alex. The interpreter hastily translated. The priestess requests a verbal pledge, a statement of intent before continuing the ceremony. A verbal pledge? He tried to keep calm. I pledge to honor your customs and your people. I pledge to respect your traditions, to promote friendship between Zithra and Earth. His voice faltered for a moment as he stumbled over the alien phrasing. And to act with integrity in all matters of diplomacy. She says it is acceptable. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of both humor and wisdom, qualities that clearly set them apart from the rigid, predictable norms of Zitharan society. The ceremony continued with delicate motions, hand gestures, and ritual placements of the glowing orb. Alex followed every step, learning quickly. His human adaptability was shining through. He noticed the small smiles from attendants, the approving nods from Lashara, and the way the crowd's murmurs shifted from tense to quietly impressed. By the time the ceremony drew to a close, Alex realized something remarkable. He had not only survived the ritual without offending anyone, but he had also earned a measure of respect from the priestess and her court. The misunderstanding had turned into an opportunity for humans to demonstrate courage, empathy, and intelligence. As he stepped back, Lashara spoke again, and the interpreter translated. Your efforts are noted. You have shown patience, respect, and cleverness. These qualities are rare among visitors. You honor us, Captain Alex Morno. Thank you, Priestess Lashara. I am honored to meet you and your people. Even in a culture he barely understood, his courage, quick thinking, and respect had turned a potential disaster into a moment of connection. As the crowd dispersed, Alex stepped aside with his team, exchanging relieved glances. They had survived the first stage of Zitharan protocol, and the humans had demonstrated that they could handle even the strangest challenges with intelligence, humor, and grace. Alex looked back at Lashara, who now stood quietly in contemplation. There was something in her gaze that suggested curiosity, perhaps even admiration. He realized that this misunderstanding, absurd as it seemed, might be the start of something far bigger than a trade agreement. It could be the beginning of a bridge between two species, built on respect, courage, and uniquely human ingenuity. And with that thought, Captain Alex Morno prepared himself for whatever came next. On Zithra, nothing was predictable, but humans had a way of thriving where others faltered. This was just the first step in a story that would test their wit, charm, and bravery in ways no one could have imagined. The golden light of Zithra's plaza had faded into a soft twilight as Captain Alex Morno and his team were escorted to the chambers of Priestess Lashara. The human delegation had managed to survive the initial misunderstanding without causing a diplomatic disaster, but now they faced a new challenge, navigating Zitharan customs that were far more complex than any Earth training could have prepared them for. Alex walked cautiously, aware of every step. The corridors of Lashara's palace were smooth and reflective, curving in impossible shapes, as though the walls themselves were alive. Glowing symbols floated gently in the air, marking directions and giving subtle cues to visitors. Humans relied on logic and patterns, but these symbols seemed to convey emotions, intentions, even warnings. Alex studied them carefully, taking note of the subtle variations in light and movement. "Stay alert," he whispered to Lieutenant Rina Patel, his second-in-command. "We have no idea what's coming next. The last thing we need is another misunderstanding. I can't keep track of which hand means what, or which color indicates anger versus curiosity." The room radiated serenity and authority at the same time. Light flowed like water across the walls, casting gentle shadows that danced like living things. Alex bowed lightly and offered the same calm, respectful tone he had used in the plaza. "Priestess Lashara, thank you for welcoming us. We hope to learn more about your culture and work together in ways that benefit both our peoples. Such qualities are rare among outsiders. We want to honor them correctly. To proceed, you must demonstrate your respect through the ritual of light. Even small mistakes could disrupt the flow of energy, symbolically disrespecting the court." Alex watched closely as a Zitharan attendant demonstrated the movements, their fingers leaving trails of light in the air. "Okay," Alex muttered. "Observe, learn, mimic. Humans are great at learning quickly." He gestured for his team to follow his lead. The first step was simple: pick up an orb and place it on the pedestal in front of you. Alex's hands hovered uncertainly, but he focused on the way the light pulsed gently from the artifact, almost like it had a heartbeat. He set it down carefully, and the orb glowed brighter in response. A small nod from Lashara indicated approval. Next came the more complex steps, involving movement, timing, and subtle gestures of respect. Alex noticed that the Zitherans responded not only to correct placement but also to confidence and intent. Hesitation or doubt made the light dim, while bold, purposeful movements strengthened it. "Interesting," Alex said quietly. "They respond to intent, not just action. That's very human-friendly." "We can work with that." Lashara's lips curved into a subtle smile, and her eyes shimmered with approval. The human delegation had passed the first real test. As they paused to catch their breath, one of Lashara's advisors spoke to the priestess and then to the humans. The interpreter translated quickly. "You have shown adaptability and patience. Now a challenge of understanding will follow. You must communicate without words." The task, Alex realized, was to convey human intentions using these lights, gestures of peace, friendship, and cooperation. Missteps could be interpreted as aggression or deceit. Alex stepped forward, studying the panels carefully. He understood that humans had an advantage here, the ability to improvise, to use creativity to communicate when the rules were unfamiliar. He experimented with small gestures, moving his hands slowly to create flowing patterns of light. The panels responded, their glow becoming warmer and more harmonious. Rena tried next, cautiously tracing shapes through the air. At first, the panels flickered, but as she gained confidence, they began to resonate, creating a soft melody. Alex clapped quietly, impressed. Humans were not only learning, they were excelling in an alien system that had never encountered improvisation like theirs. Lashara watched in silence, her eyes reflecting a spectrum of shifting colors. The interpreter whispered, "She is observing your creativity. She finds it compelling." Humans could adapt, improvise, and find solutions where others could not. In this moment, that strength was on full display. After several hours, the humans completed the challenge. The panels glowed brilliantly, casting shimmering patterns across the chamber. Lashara finally spoke, and the interpreter relayed her words. "Your people are unlike any we have known. You combine courage, adaptability, and ingenuity in ways that surprise us. You honor Zithra not by tradition, but by spirit." Just as Alex was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the interpreter added, "The priestess requests a private audience. She wishes to speak with you alone." He followed Lashara into a smaller chamber, quieter and dimly lit, filled with floating lights that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. She gestured for him to sit, and he obeyed, careful to mirror her posture respectfully. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Lashara spoke, her voice soft but firm. The interpreter translated, "You are unlike others who have come before. Most outsiders stumble through our rituals, either disrespectfully or timidly. You adapt, you show courage and thought, you are interesting. I only hope to understand your people and honor your customs properly, even if I stumble along the way." Humans had a talent for moving forward, even in uncertainty, and this was no exception. The chamber door opened, and Lashara gestured for the humans to leave. As they stepped back into the corridor, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. The misunderstanding in the plaza had started as a potential disaster, but it had revealed something powerful. Humans could navigate the most complex and alien challenges with creativity, intelligence, and courage. He exchanged a look with Rena. "Well," he whispered, "if that's what they consider a test, we're doing pretty well." Who knew a misunderstanding could show our true strength? Their creativity, empathy, and bravery could turn even mistakes into opportunities. As they returned to their temporary quarters, Alex took a moment to reflect. The situation was absurd, yes, but it was also a perfect stage for human ingenuity to shine. Lashara had seen it, and the court had seen it. Humans had made a mark, not by force or intimidation, but by courage, adaptability, and clever thinking. In the quiet of his room, Alex allowed himself a small grin. He had survived the first stage of the Zitharan challenge, and he knew this was just the beginning. If humans could thrive here in a culture so alien, then the possibilities were endless. The universe was full of challenges, and humans, as always, were ready to meet them head-on. The sun of Zithra had dipped low, and the floating city shimmered under a soft violet twilight. Captain Alex Morno and his team had returned from their first full day of ceremonies, yet the unexpected consequences of their proposal were only beginning to unfold. Back at the delegation's temporary quarters, Alex checked the secure communicator. Reports from Earth had arrived, but more pressing were updates from Zithro itself. The ceremony they had attended earlier in the day had been broadcast to a network of crystal screens across the city. Every citizen from the highest scholar to the youngest apprentice had seen the human captain's supposed engagement to Priestess Lashara. Rina Patel leaned over the display, frowning. Alex, everyone knows, the whole planet knows, and not just knows, they're talking about it, analyzing it. Some call you bold, others call you reckless. And a few, well, they seem genuinely impressed. For now, we have to work with it. He scanned the reports, noting comments from Zitharan scholars and citizens praising his courage, wit, and ability to navigate complex customs. Somehow his human qualities, improvisation, empathy, and boldness, were winning admiration. The next morning, the human team prepared for their first full day of negotiations. Yet before they could leave, Lashara herself arrived at the delegation quarters. Her arrival was quiet but commanding. The floating lights of the room shifted, responding subtly to her presence. "Captain Morno," she said, her voice calm yet resonant. "The people are watching, they are curious about you. Your actions are unusual, but they honor our traditions. Your people possess qualities I find compelling." She led them to a vast hall filled with floating platforms, glowing symbols, and intricate holographic displays. This was the center of Zitharan civic discussion, where ideas were debated, decisions were made, and influence was measured. "Today," Lashara said, "you will participate in the Council of Light. Your challenge is to demonstrate understanding, resolve disputes, and contribute ideas. All without arrogance or disrespect. Your approach will be judged not only by me, but by those who witness it." He knew that his human instincts, creativity, adaptability, empathy, would be his greatest tools. The council began with a dispute between two Zitharan factions over resource allocation in the city. One faction wanted to expand energy channels into the lower districts. Another opposed it, fearing environmental imbalance. The debate was fluid, with arguments flowing in tones, colors, and gestures that Alex barely understood. He watched carefully, noting patterns, intentions, and reactions. Then he spoke, cautiously at first, using the interpreter to convey his ideas in ways that Zitharans could understand. He suggested compromise solutions, emphasizing cooperation, foresight, and mutual benefit. He relied on uniquely human reasoning, practicality, adaptability, and respect for all sides. At first, there were murmurs of skepticism. Some council members frowned, signaling doubt. But Alex persisted, weaving logic with empathy, demonstrating that humans valued not only success, but also the welfare of all parties involved. Slowly, the council's tension began to ease. His suggestions, though unusual in presentation, addressed the underlying concerns of both factions. Lashara observed quietly, her eyes reflecting admiration. She had seen many diplomats attempt negotiation, but Alex's approach was different. He did not seek to dominate, intimidate, or flaunt intelligence. He listened, adapted, and acted with integrity. That combination of courage and humility, so human, yet so effective, was unlike anything Zithra had encountered before. By the end of the session, the council had reached a consensus. Both factions agreed to a plan incorporating Alex's ideas, ensuring energy expansion without environmental harm. The council erupted in applause, a chorus of light and sound that celebrated resolution. Alex breathed a quiet sigh of relief. They had succeeded, yet the wider consequences were becoming clear. Citizens across Zithra were discussing the council's outcome, and by extension, the humans' role in it. Public sentiment was rising in favor of cooperation with Earth. Alex had inadvertently become a symbol of human ingenuity and morality. The proposal misunderstanding had turned from a potential embarrassment into a platform for human values to shine. After the council, Alex and his team were led to a terrace overlooking the city. Lashara joined them, her expression thoughtful. "Your people are different. You do not always follow rules strictly, yet you achieve results. That is rare and compelling. Many here are beginning to admire you for it. You possess that quality." That evening, while reviewing their notes, Alex reflected on the human approach to problem-solving. It relied on curiosity, adaptability, and empathy, qualities that allowed humans to navigate unknown cultures with flexibility. On Zithra, these traits were being recognized and respected, turning a misunderstanding into an opportunity for influence and goodwill. Rena leaned back in her chair, her expression thoughtful. "Alex, this is incredible. We're not just surviving, we're impressing them. Even Lashara, who is normally strict and reserved, seems intrigued by us." If we continue carefully, we can turn this accidental proposal into a real opportunity for collaboration. Social commentary, analysis, and even praise poured in. Words of admiration emphasized his courage, problem-solving, and integrity. The humans had become symbols, representatives of their species in both ability and spirit. Alex read through the messages, feeling a mix of awe and caution. We have to be careful. The admiration is good, but it also raises expectations. One mistake, and this could all backfire. Here on Zithra, he realized that their strengths, adaptability, empathy, courage, and ingenuity, could not only help them survive misunderstandings but also create meaningful alliances. As he looked at the stars from the terrace, Alex felt a surge of optimism. The accidental proposal had opened doors that pure diplomacy might never have reached. Humans had a way of turning chaos into opportunity, of bridging cultural divides with intelligence, humor, and integrity. Lashara appeared beside him quietly. Her eyes reflected the lights of the city, shimmering in a mix of curiosity and respect. "Captain Morn," she said softly, "your actions today, they have been noted. You honor us, and through you, your people are honored as well. That is a rare accomplishment. That is something worth noting." The night air of Zithra shimmered softly, and Alex felt a surge of determination. Humans could not only survive in alien worlds, they could thrive, inspire, and reshape perceptions. One accidental proposal had become the catalyst for proving humanity's worth on an interstellar stage. And with that, Alex prepared for the days ahead, knowing that the challenges would grow more complex, the expectations higher, and the stakes far greater. But humans, he knew, were more than capable, for even in misunderstanding, there was opportunity. And humanity had never been afraid to seize it. The morning on Zithra began quietly, with the city bathed in soft violet light that shimmered across the floating towers and winding walkways. Captain Alex Morno and his team were already preparing for the day's challenges, unaware that today would test more than their diplomacy. It would test their courage, ingenuity, and humanity in ways no training could have predicted. The proposal, misunderstanding, had spread farther than anyone anticipated. Across the city, conversations bubbled with speculation. Citizens discussed the humans' boldness, Lashara's reactions, and the peculiar events of the previous days. Most viewed the humans as clever, respectful, and capable. Yet a small faction of Zitharan elders and scholars began to grow uneasy. They saw the humans' improvisation not as intelligence, but as unpredictable and potentially disruptive. Rina Patel leaned over the table, studying a holographic map of the city. "Alex, there's a situation brewing. Some of the elders are questioning whether humans should continue participating in court ceremonies. They think we might be reckless, maybe even disrespectful. We helped resolve the council dispute yesterday. And if necessary, we'll improvise." One elder spoke, and the interpreter translated quickly. "Captain Morno, your actions, though unusual, have drawn attention, yet some of us fear the consequences of your continued involvement. Your presence disrupts tradition and may destabilize certain sectors. We require proof of your reliability." He noted their intentions, their caution, and their desire to maintain order. He knew that confrontation would not help. Humans succeeded by listening, adapting, and demonstrating capability. He stepped forward, hands raised slightly in a gesture of calm. "Elders of Zithra, I understand your concerns. My people are different, yes. We do not always follow the same rules you do, but we act with respect, integrity, and intelligence. Yesterday, we helped resolve a council dispute peacefully, ensuring the welfare of your citizens. We are capable of contributing positively, not chaos. Our intentions are clear. We wish to learn, understand, and assist. If you allow it, we will demonstrate further our value, not only to your court, but to your people. You will accompany a civic mission into the lower districts, where resources are being allocated for expansion. You must identify potential issues, resolve conflicts, and ensure harmony, all without disrupting the natural balance. Let's do this." As they arrived, Alex immediately noticed the subtle signs of strain. Energy conduits had begun to shift unpredictably, causing minor imbalances in plant growth and water flow. Local Zitharan citizens were debating heatedly over the placement of new channels. Tension filled the air. Alex approached the group calmly. "Let's observe first," he said. Humans solve problems by understanding the situation, then acting carefully but decisively. Rena helped, using her technical skills to adjust minor imbalances in the energy network. Alex coordinated with both sides, translating Zitharan concerns into actionable solutions. Slowly, the tension dissipated. The channels were rerouted efficiently, the plants remained healthy, and the citizens expressed gratitude for the humans' insight and cooperation. Lishara observed from above, her eyes glowing with quiet approval. Even the skeptical elders had to acknowledge the humans' effectiveness. Their improvisation, problem-solving, and courage under pressure had achieved results without disrespecting Zitharan tradition. But the challenge was not over. A sudden tremor shook the ground, a minor quake caused by the city's energy channels. Citizens panicked, unsure how to respond. Some elders looked alarmed, murmuring warnings about human unpredictability. Alex acted instantly. Humans thrived under pressure, especially when quick thinking was needed. He assessed the situation, identified unstable conduits, and instructed his team on adjustments to stabilize the network. Using tools designed for human and Zitharan collaboration, they managed to prevent further disruption. The tremor passed, leaving the area safe. Lishara descended to the ground, her expression calm but intense. "Captain Morn, your actions have proven that humans can act decisively, with courage and intelligence, even in unexpected crises. You honor your people and ours through these deeds. That is both their strength and our concern." Citizens praised the humans' ingenuity and bravery, and even the cautious elders had to admit that the humans' contributions had been valuable. The proposal, misunderstanding, had evolved from a social faux pas into a symbol of human adaptability and competence. As they returned to the upper city, Alex reflected on the lessons of the day. Humans thrived not by following rigid rules, but by combining logic, courage, creativity, and empathy. They could turn misunderstandings into opportunities, chaos into solutions, and suspicion into respect. Zithra had witnessed the best of humanity, an example of what humans could accomplish when trusted to act with integrity. Back at the delegation quarters, Rena shook her head in amazement. "I can't believe it. One misunderstanding, and we've ended up proving humanity's worth to an entire city. And we've done it without stepping on anyone's toes. Even in an alien world, we can shine. Captain Morno, your actions today have earned respect from many who doubted you. The city is watching, and they see that humans can act with wisdom, courage, and empathy. You honor not only your people, but ours as well. We have much to learn, but we hope to continue earning trust and strengthening cooperation. But humans do tend to turn even mistakes into opportunities." The proposal, misunderstanding, still existed, and there were factions within Zithra who remained skeptical. Yet humans had proven a fundamental truth. When faced with uncertainty, danger, or unfamiliar customs, they could rise to the occasion, combining courage, intelligence, and ingenuity to achieve positive outcomes. As the human team returned to their quarters, Alex looked at the glowing skyline of Zithra, reflecting on the day's events. One accidental gesture, a misunderstanding, had forced them to act in ways that highlighted humanity's best qualities. Courage under pressure, problem-solving in alien systems, empathy across cultures, all had become tools to navigate a society far more complex than Earth's. He knew the road ahead would bring more challenges. Skeptical elders might attempt to limit their involvement. Other factions could try to exploit misunderstandings for political gain. Yet Alex was confident. Humans were resilient, inventive, and capable of brilliance under pressure. Zithra had witnessed it firsthand, and the humans had left their mark. As night settled over the city, Alex felt a surge of determination. Humanity had the chance not only to survive on Zithra, but to thrive, to inspire, and to bridge the gap between worlds. One misunderstanding had become a test, and humans had passed with courage, intelligence, and integrity. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps more dangerous and complex than today. Yet Alex smiled, knowing that humans, in their unpredictable and brilliant ways, would rise to meet them. For Zithra and beyond, the strength of humanity was clear. Courage, creativity, and empathy could overcome even the most alien obstacles. The morning light on Zithra shimmered softly, casting gentle gold and violet hues across the floating city. Captain Alex Morno awoke with a sense of purpose. Today, the humans would face their greatest challenge yet, the culmination of the proposal, misunderstanding, and the final test of their ingenuity, courage, and diplomacy. The city was buzzing with anticipation. Citizens gathered along the plaza, floating terraces, and observation platforms, whispering about the humans and their mysterious interactions with Priestess Lashara. Holographic broadcasts displayed the story of the accidental proposal and the humans' actions in the council and lower districts. Everywhere, the public was watching, fascinated by Earth's ambassadors. Alex met Rena and the rest of the team in the delegation quarters. "Today is the day," he said, checking his notes carefully. "We'll need to combine everything we've learned so far, our adaptability, empathy, and problem-solving skills. One wrong move could unravel all the progress we've made, but one clever choice could cement humanity's reputation on Zithera for generations." Sounds like a typical human challenge. Impossible, exciting, and the perfect opportunity to shine. Today was no longer a routine ceremony. It was a public demonstration of diplomacy, skill, and trust, with stakes higher than ever. "Captain Morno," Lashara said, her voice melodic and precise, "today you will finalize your participation in the rituals that have begun with the offering. Your actions will not only reflect upon you, but upon all humans. You have been observed with curiosity, skepticism, and admiration. It is time to demonstrate the full measure of your abilities and character." Light orbs floated around the plaza, responding to the participants' movements and intentions. Humans were expected to navigate these rituals flawlessly or risk dishonoring the court. Alex took a deep breath. Humans thrived under pressure, and he would show it now. He coordinated with his team, carefully observing the lights, understanding their flow, and moving with purpose. He used every bit of ingenuity he had, predicting reactions, improvising when the patterns shifted unexpectedly, and guiding his team through a series of intricate sequences that mirrored Zitheran tradition while retaining human creativity. The crowd watched silently, captivated by the unusual spectacle. Humans were not only participating, they were excelling. Their gestures, confidence, and thoughtful improvisation created new patterns in the floating lights, harmonizing them in ways the Zitherans had not anticipated. Even skeptical elders exchanged surprised glances. As the ritual progressed, a sudden interruption occurred. A minor energy fluctuation surged through the plaza, threatening to destabilize the floating orbs. Gasps echoed from the citizens. Even Lashara's calm expression flickered with concern. Alex acted instantly. Humans were unparalleled at solving problems on the fly. He instructed his team to adjust the orb placements, recalibrate energy flows, and synchronize gestures to stabilize the network. His mind worked rapidly, analyzing patterns, predicting consequences, and improvising solutions. Within moments, the crisis was averted. The orbs glowed brighter than before, radiating harmonious energy throughout the plaza. The citizens erupted in applause, their excitement resonating across the city. Humans had not only survived the disruption, they had transformed it into a moment of brilliance. Lashara descended gracefully to stand beside Alex. Her eyes reflected admiration and wonder. "Captain Morno," she said, "your actions today demonstrate qualities that are rare even among the most respected of Zitherans: courage, intelligence, adaptability, and integrity. You honor not only your people, but ours as well. We have learned much from your culture, and we hope to continue honoring it through our actions. We were uncertain, yet your actions have proven your reliability. You honor Zithera through both intention and result. That is how we thrive." Alex carefully approached the pedestal, hands steady despite the crowd and the significance of the moment. He lifted the orb, feeling its gentle warmth and subtle pulse, as if it recognized the intention behind the gesture. He held it out toward Lashara. She reached forward, her fingers barely brushing his as she accepted the orb. A wave of light rippled through the plaza, flowing upward into the floating city, bathing the citizens in a spectrum of colors that reflected trust, respect, and mutual admiration. The gesture was symbolic, yet it carried weight beyond words. Humans and Zitherans were now linked by shared understanding and cooperation. Alex turned to face the crowd, bowing humbly. "People of Zithera," he said through the interpreter, "we are honored to learn from your culture, to share our knowledge, and to build friendship. We hope to continue working together for the good of all." Skeptical elders, Litheran officials, and ordinary citizens alike recognized the human capacity for courage, empathy, and intelligence. The misunderstanding that had begun as a simple gesture of politeness had become a catalyst for interstellar understanding and admiration. Later, in private, Lashara spoke with Alex, her expression softer and thoughtful. "Captain Morno, what began as a misunderstanding has become a lesson for all of Zithera. You have shown that humans, though unpredictable, possess qualities that are invaluable: creativity, courage, and a capacity for empathy. You remind us that strength is not only in tradition or power, but in wisdom, heart, and ingenuity. We never expected that a simple gesture would turn into something this meaningful. But humans thrive when faced with challenges, even unexpected ones. Perhaps that is what makes us human. The streets of Zithra glowed softly under the evening sky, citizens discussing the events with enthusiasm. Humans had left a lasting impression, not through power or force, but through courage, creativity, and empathy. Rena turned to Alex, her eyes bright. "We did it. We turned a misunderstanding into something incredible. Humans actually impressed an entire planet." It wasn't luck. Humans have a way of turning challenges into opportunities. That's who we are. We improvise, we adapt, and we show courage when it matters most. Today proved it. The proposal that had begun as a simple misunderstanding had become a bridge between worlds, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Humans had faced uncertainty, cultural complexity, and skepticism, and they had thrived. Lishara joined him quietly, her presence calm and reassuring. "Captain Morn, this is only the beginning. Humans and Zitherans have much to learn from each other. But today, you have shown the true spirit of your people." Somewhere between the misunderstanding and the resolution, humans had proven something important: that courage, intelligence, empathy, and creativity could overcome misunderstanding, skepticism, and cultural barriers. They had turned chaos into cooperation and uncertainty into trust. The stars above Zithra twinkled, reflecting in the soft glow of the city. Alex felt a surge of hope. Humanity had proven itself not only capable but exceptional, even on a world far from home. One accidental gesture had become a story of triumph, and the universe had taken notice. And as the night deepened, Alex realized that the adventure was far from over. Humans had the courage, ingenuity, and heart to meet any challenge. They would continue to explore, to learn, and to inspire, turning every misunderstanding, every unexpected event into an opportunity to shine. For Zithra, for Earth, and for the stars beyond, humanity had proven its worth. And sometimes, a simple act of politeness was all it took to show the universe just how remarkable humans could be.